Well,
Hello,
hello, Sebastian.
how you doing?
Alive and well. How are you? Glad to be here with you.
I'm doing okay. Thanks for willing to do this, Mr. Avner.
Thank you. Call me John. Call me John. And sometimes I'm going to wear my glasses. I'm getting old.
Of course, John. Thank you. You know, I've been wanting to say this, John, but I've been getting to know more about you since Void from Berserk, and ever since that, I've been getting to know more about your voices, and that's where
Wow.
I came to thought of making that video for you a few months ago will help make sure you be recognized for everything. That's why I got a lot of views for an important reason, to help you feel recognized, just like I did for others like Billy Kometz, through Lance Riddick, through everybody.
It was a wonderful piece. I loved it. Thank you very much for it.
Well, it's what I do best. And that's part of my YouTube channel's purpose, to help everybody be recognized. And in return, they do the same for me, since it is my desire to work in voice acting with everybody, including you, Mr. Avner. Oh,
Thank
I
you. And
meant
remember, you
John.
st- got to call me John.
John, not I meant. Sorry, it's just I have autism, and that I'm just working so hard to just get things right for me. Cause hey,
It's
it's
okay.
it's
We
learning.
all have something. It's all right there, Sebastian. That's
Yeah,
why we're in this business.
of course, John. But anyway, I have many questions I've been wanting to ask you.
Shoot.
Tell me, how is it like being a voice actor in many animated projects?
What's it like? Let me tell you, it is an honor for me to be recognized for the voiceover work that I've done. Um, there's a lot of acting work that I do. I think probably I'm more known for my comedy dinner shows in the 80s and 90s, probably more so for commercial work and other type of work. But I must tell you, the animes and the video games have it's been a real pleasure, and I really enjoy doing it too.
Interesting. That's what you like about being in voice acting, which leads me to the most important question. How did you get into voice acting? And what is it that got you right there in the very spot?
It's probably what got me into acting in the first place, because I started out in commercial work, primarily print work. And then one of my agents said, you have a good voice. You should take voice lessons. That led to other things. I did not, though, intend to start out as a voiceover. Um, I primarily studied in theater, and I'm a member of the Actors Studio. I've done a lot of regional, off Broadway, off Broadway, and all over the country. So that was where my training came from, really.
I see.
I remember, though, I think my first anime that I did. Um,
It was from the showcase that I made for you.
I think it was I'm trying to remember now, Pink Panther.
The Pink Panther. Yes.
And then I started, that was done by Michael and Michael S. I'm not going to throw out names there, who's been working with me on a number of the projects.
If you're talking about Michael, are you talking about Michael Serter Nicholas?
You mentioned the name, yes. Yes, it was Michael who I first did that with, and I've been able to work with him on a number of projects. It's been really nice.
Well, that's very nice to hear. Because all I know is that, from what I could tell, he's the founder of NYV Post. Founded
That's
it in a
right.
very young age. It's something unexpected I didn't see coming. But he is just so lucky to starting his own business right there. He may be a voice actor, but he's also a voice director too, and for almost a few years since the 1990s.
Yes, and I've seen his studio expand to where it is right now.
It's something
It's a
else.
wonderful success story, and he
Indeed.
deserves it.
Yeah.
Excuse me
but
while I'm chewing gum, but
it's all right.
star.
Of course, I've seen a lot of people doing it, Seen through Bill Malsap having his coffee and through Richard Epcar, through everybody doing their things while I just talk to them. It's a natural thing that always happens in a way, and I won't
Good,
mind it.
good. We're
But
informal. That's the way it should be.
yeah, but anyway, I was gonna tell you about your first ever character, and I know that because of the video I made. But since I'll just ask you the questions, but
Okay.
in the show The Goku-sen, what was your favorite part about playing Fuji?
Um, yeah, I liked Fuji because I like that character. The character of Fuji was actually something that I did on an off-Broadway show, The Gift Horse, that was at the East 91st Street Theater in Manhattan in the early 90s. And it was this, I played the gangster. And so I was using this voice during the show, and I think this is probably the same type of character that I used as Fuji and Gokusen, which was done shortly after I think I did that play. So I
Oh,
enjoyed it because I was continuing a character that I was playing for months, in a show in Manhattan.
I see. So that's what you like about playing that character. From what I could tell so far, you did very awesome playing that character, especially when you got to interact with how her name again? All right, Carrie Carnan, who you got to interact her main character alongside Kevin D. Collins, and even Dan Green was able to bring you in. Dan Green, the guy who does Yu-Gi-Oh for almost a few years, brought you in as voice cast director. So yeah, I'm very glad that you got to be that character.
It was fun. It was a fun day of work. It really was.
Of course. But anyway, how does it feel
Yes,
about
I'm just
playing
moving myself here. Okay.
how does it feel about playing Sebastiano di Rivilo in Just Cause 3?
That I also very, very much enjoyed because a lot of it was mocap work. So you know that when we're doing regular voiceover in an anime, we're there in the studio booth all by ourselves as we're watching, the screen above, and we're trying to, you know, do our bit, because we're basically dubbing another actor's work from the Japanese version. But in Just Cause 3, I was the original actor. So there was something that was unique for that. Plus, I got to be in the mocap uniform and do a couple of scenes, which is being out of the video, the sound booth, and actually being on stage, made it kind of more exciting and very much like doing film work.
Interesting. So that's what you like about being that character.
Yes,
Because
well,
all I know is that I've been seeing a lot of Just Cause video games for almost a few years, and you being part of the third one was super awesome, actually. When you get all, why is this happening to me? Why can't you understand what it is that I am working hard for? Ugh, I need a break.
the
So,
character
yeah.
was like as it was described to me, it was a mixture of Stalin, a mixture of Gaddafi, a mixture of all these, a little bit of Castro maybe and stuff like that. Um, and sometimes we had to reshoot because my Mediterranean accent would sometimes shift into a Russian accent. So there were retakes done on it. But believe it or not, I also had based that character on Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro in Goodfellas.
Oh, that I know very well because of them, of course. And that's super awesome, honestly. But anyway, what's the most funny thing when you got to play Ume in Twin Single Signal? Well,
Uh,
it was in 2001 when you were first brought in, long before Berserk came along. Michael
no, Berserk
Sampson,
was earlier, wasn't it?
actually it came out 2000 too, from what I could tell so far.
I also did the 1996 one. Oh well,
Yeah. Twin
your
Signal was,
memory is probably better than mine.
yeah. All I know is that Twin Signal came out 2001 and that you, alongside a good friend of mine, Mike Polak and Kevin D. Collins, was there too.
Yes, yes, Kevin.
You're all
Um,
like, you are just something else. Wait a minute. Because you were
the,
sounding like a mad scientist when you were doing it right there.
almost similar to what I was asked to do in Earth Defense Force. I kind of like these mad scientist roles, I guess.
Oh, honestly, I was gonna ask you that question, but you just said it for me. But anyway, how was that? How is that for you to play that
I
that
was surprised.
scientist?
I mean, like, I really, when they cast me on it and asked me to do that type of voice, I was kind of surprised because I thought it was very sensitive to do Dr. Mengele. That was the name of the character. And Dr. Mengele, of course, is the notorious doctor from, the Holocaust who did all those terrible experiments. And plus, I was doing it in a German accent, but like a wild high voice, almost like a Doctor Strangelove type of character. Um, but obviously it worked.
I
My hero
see.
was a fun game.
It is very fun, actually, especially when it comes to doing a lot of Earth defense characters, that even Michael Sinter Nicholas, I meant, was able to, did some of the Earth Defense Force twice, actually. One with Billy Kometz and Christina V before Billy Kometz passed away 2 years ago. And I was devastated by that. But you did very well playing that character, in that game. And you even did very well with Michael in projects, especially in
Yes,
Twin
we've
Signal.
worked together on a lot and done a lot of sometimes my voice is I know I'm known for a low voice and blah blah blah, but some of my other characters have been very high, crazy
Yeah,
type of voices.
yeah. But anyway, back on my topics of the
Okay,
topics. But how is it like playing Yin in Tokyo Godfathers?
that I really enjoy because I knew the story. I knew the Tokyo Godfather story just from the other three Godfather movies, that were done in America. The one with John Wayne, et cetera, and the early ones from the 30s and stuff. So I knew the story and I knew it very well. And I really enjoyed that story. And so to play Jin, was just, wonderful. And in a way, if I recall, that voice may have been similar to Fuji and Gokusen, right? I had that raspy voice as Jin, if I recall.
Yes, you are correct. After all, good listening ears is something what's best. That's why I added it in the video I made for you for a reason, to help you see it for yourself.
I believe, yeah, that it was very, very similar to that, except it would be the dog as an alcoholic, so to speak, because Jin was an alcoholic.
Yes, that is very right. And again, Tokyo Godfathers was actually very good. And you being a main character is something unexpected right there. When you got to be with a lot of people right there, Victoria Grace, Lucari Walgren, and Crispin Freeman and everybody. And yet again, I'm very glad Michael Sinter Nicholas was able to bring you into the movie being a main character. And it's very awesome, actually. And I'm glad he
I
did that.
enjoyed it so much, not only doing it, but I've seen it twice, believe it or not, and really enjoyed it.
Oh, this is just something new I've learned from you. But anyway, what's the most awesome thing when playing Pastar in The King of Braves, Go Gear Gar, or just The
Hmm.
King of Braves to be more precise? The main villain in the show.
You know,
It's in the
when you're
video.
playing a villain, you don't see yourself as a villain. you see yourself as somebody who just wants something and will do anything to get it.
Now that is something new
Something.
right there. Especially when you, on the other hand, was able to be trying to get your servants through your apprentice Kevin T. Collins, Mike Pollock, and your servants to do your bidding right there. All for the sake of trying to get rid of Michael Sinter Nicholas right there. Destroy Michael Sinter Nicholas, or you will suffer the consequences. And they're all like, yes, sir. The and it's something I'm beginning to notice right there.
I actually am a lawyer. That's how I got into the entertainment business. And
Wow, you were a
originally,
lawyer?
and I still am,
Oh,
originally,
oh,
I was an entertainment lawyer. I represented many clients in the music business and in film business. And that's how I got into acting because some of my clients wanted to use me in their commercials.
wow. I did not know that until that very moment, but thank you for
Well, I
telling me
think it's
this.
probably all about me. I still practice law. I don't practice, though, in the entertainment business. Once I became an established actor, the type of law that I practice now, which I do in New York and Massachusetts, is more along the lines of family law.
Wow, it's something new I'm beginning to learn from you. And you know what? I'm very glad you told me this. And that is
Well,
something I'm
it was already on my prior name there. So you have a copy of it and you can look my name up.
Oh, don't worry. That's why I followed you through social media for a reason, to know everything about that. But
You'll
anyway,
find out about my other life.
of course. But anyway, back on the topics, but this is my favorite question I've been wanting to ask you, but what is your favorite part about being the voice of Void in Berserk?
My favorite part of it is really it's like Monday morning quarterbacking. I had no idea that Berserk would be the phenomenon that it is.
Top
And
dog.
and
Yeah.
that's got to be the greatest thing about it. I had no idea. And it reminds me, and it's always a lesson, that whatever project you're in, you never know how it's going to be received. So just do your best, let go of the results.
Yeah. You did very well being a narrator throughout the entire Berserk series until the very moment, the last part where you reveal yourself, that the narrator reveals himself as a villain named Void, leader of the God Hand. He may look like a villain, but he's actually an honest person right there. He's saying, "It's not my idea, you know. It's all Kevin T. Collins' idea. We're just trying to help him make his dream come true." Because all I know, it's all up to him. And that's something I'm beginning to observe from the anime so far. Because hey, every villain who showed up only is there because of another villain's ambition right there. Because hey, you did very well being the master of Kevin T. Collins, you know? Especially when you be like, only you and you alone can make that decision. Because you got to play Void twice, you know? First in the first anime in 2002, where you got English dubbed, and then the second is through if I'm not mistaken, in the movie back in 2012, where you evolutionized it so well.
We also did a remaster of it recently, if I recall, like around 2 years ago, perhaps.
You are correct, actually. After
Yeah.
all, that is something that most people usually go through, actually. And Michael Certain Nicholas, again, he was very proud of bringing you into the series, you know. And Mark Durison, Kerry Carnan, even my friend Mike Pollock, they were all, and even you did so good being in that show, especially when it got a lot of memes and everything, you know? And one time, I actually seen a video of you going all crazy over for the void. And you honestly make me laugh, you know? And I'm
It's
glad
an
you did.
honor to make people laugh.
Of course you do. You're a good voice actor, and you always will be. But anyway,
Well, I'll tell you one that does stand out is one of the earlier ones that I did. Um, Forgot the name of it.
hmm.
It was with Michael, and it takes place like in a modern future Japan of a corporate takeover. The character, I think his name was Gurin, and I played actually a second character in that also, an old witch or something.
Oh, you mean in Dark Side Blues, you mean?
Side Blues, that was it.
That was your
Yes.
first ever gig right there that I put in your video. From what I've,
Yeah, it wasn't actually the first one I did, but it may be the first one that showed up, or it was a dub of an earlier one. That one I thought was interesting because it was very unusual.
yeah, I see that, you know. Anyway, back on my topics of the characters, but how is it like about playing Tadayoshi Fanazu in The Legend of the Dragon Kings?
I remember that one. Is that where I did a Japanese accent?
Yes, you did sound super Japanese. You were like, I said you can leave now.
I don't think that that would be in this day now. When I did it then, I don't, they cast an American actor doing a Japanese accent, but I don't know if that would be, correct these days.
Yeah, all I know is that you were just doing your best to make sure you sound like a very creepy old man, you know? Because, hey, it's part of a job to make sure to just make everything go as a progress, you know? It's what everybody does, even myself too, in a way.
One of the things that also helped me in doing the dubbings for the animes, excuse me while I have another piece of gum,
Of course.
I really enjoy many of the Japanese cinema of the 60s and the 70s. Um, Not just the, Akira Surigata film, but I was very much into the samurai films of Zatoichi. Um, and I got to know through watching a lot of the Japanese cinema, different Japanese characters. And it was very, very interesting because it's the Japanese persona, I believe, that comes out of the animes, and that what makes the anime characters so attractive to Western civilization.
Wow. That's that's an interesting thing you're telling me, actually. And and watching Japanese stuff, that's the most interesting thing I'm beginning to learn from you so far. And I'm glad that I'm learning it right there. So yeah.
There's
But
a lot of
anyway,
interesting Japanese films, that from the 60s and even from the 50s. Um, and it's interesting to see these characters because they are repeated in the animes.
I see. But anyway, what's
Go
so
ahead.
awesome when you got to be in the Pink Panther Hocus Pocus Pink as Strange Blood?
It was the first time I met Michael. And this was very, very early. This, I'm thinking this may have been done. This was the first thing I ever did with Michael. I don't know how long ago it was,
Hmm.
but I remember it being the very first thing, and we were both kind of experimenting with it.
Experimenting, eh? That's an interesting thing. And what exactly did you and Michael experiment it on when
Well,
you
with coming up with the character, it was really what I think it was the first voiceover dubbing that I did. I mean, I did voiceover work, but I never did it, based upon a character that was already written on a screen. So it was a new approach for me. And Michael was able to work with me on that. And it came out, I think, very good.
I
You know,
see.
wound up working together for a lot of different projects.
I see. That's what you like about playing that character, because you get to be next to Michael, who he does Pink Panther in the game too. He was all like, for all of my research, I may be able to understand what it is I must do in order to set things right into motion. Oh, I'm just trying to do Michael Sinter Nicholas right there because, I've been practicing his voice recently and it's been getting me out of turn right there. So, yeah, I'm just trying to be honest with you on the details.
Well,
But,
that's what made it so much fun. It was my first project with Michael
I
and
see.
my very first cartoon. I call them cartoons. I'm an old man. Anime.
Of, of course. But, last question to ask you, but how is it like about being in the movie Bird Boy: The Forgotten Children as Uncle Klaus?
Oh, I enjoyed that scene very much. I really did. I thought it was a really, really cool scene. Um, it's not the most time that I spent on it because, again, it was basically that one scene, but it was a good, half day or day's work. And we did a number of takes on it. I think it came out really, really well. And yeah, it's not just my work. Remember, in any of these projects, it's also the work of all the people who are behind the scenes and the editors and everybody else who's putting all this together. And I think that the bit that I did, I liked it. Came out really, really well.
Well, that's good to hear from you. Honestly, you being part of that movie was actually so good, especially when you get to interact with the young children right there. And yet again, a lot of people such as Mark Durison through Todd Haberkorn, even Kyle McCarley and Yuri Lowenthal were in there too. And you, on the other hand, you're just so good at making yourself look very unique at a certain way. It's all part of the process that I've seen from a lot of people's work, even yours, John. And that's why I like about you, John, being a very good at playing villains in a way, just by showing them the motivation behind it. And that's my,
And I didn't see him again as a villain. He was a businessman.
of course, it's something that most people go with.
He was a businessman. And, of course, he had a sinister voice and selling all these terrible things, but then he has a turn of heart to give them a break.
Yeah. And that's good about characters, just by learning the truth about themselves and that's what make them make good decisions. And I'm glad that everybody learns from that. Well, John, it's such an honor to finally have you on my interviews.
It was an honor to be interviewed. Thank you so much for having me.
Well,
I
it's what
hope
I do best. And there are two things I like to tell you. Number one, when Mobile Suit Gundam Seed comes out to Netflix, the Seed Destiny one, I will make that video for you, John, and I will show it to you alongside everybody else in order to help you see to it when the time comes. And number two, if you ever see Michael Certain Nicholas again, would you tell him I said hello and that hopefully in the near future, I, as a voice actor, will be looking forward to just working with him in the industry when the time comes. And until that
I will
day,
let
I will.
Michael know next time I see him.
And I'm glad you say that, John. And I thank you for being a good person with a very passionate heart. And that's
Thank
why
you.
I've come to support you a lot.
Thank you, Sebastian. You do well. You be well. Good luck on everything. And again, thanks for having me. Okay.
It's what I do best, always. I hope you have a wonderful day and do something awesome.
I will. You have a good day too. And now I'll just click on leave and we say goodbye.
Of course.
All right. Do you want me to say goodbye in any particular voice?
Oh, the Void One. Show it to them.
in this world. I say goodbye.
Goodbye to you.